Welcome to this Heartfulness Wellness third webinar. And as you know, these are unprecedented, unseen times. So I wouldn't say unheard times. We are surrounded by this COVID fear which has engulfed the entire universe and which has forced many of us to be locked down, to be at home, to be with your family, or if you're alone. And lots of queries have come up during this time saying that at home that they are feeling lonely, they do not know what to do next. Despite being with their family, yet they complain that they are feeling lonely, they don't know what to do, the spouses are fighting with each other, the parents are not getting along with their children because they've never been so close to each other. So this is a very important topic that we are discussing today, how to deal with this in today's life, where unfortunately or fortunately, we are forced to spend time at home. To discuss this today, I have two well-known speakers, and they will help us through this difficult time. First up, we have Vasco Gaspar. He's from Portugal. He's a human flourishing facilitator. He works as an author, speaker, and facilitator in the fields of awareness-based human flourishing and conscious leadership across the world. He's certified as a teacher in a wide range of awareness-based technology. He's been working with individual teams and organizations all over the world, having reached more than 30,000 people in the last decade. I know he's a wellness trainer, a heartfulness trainer, and he works closely with different global NGOs like the Search Inside Yourself Leadership Institute as a teacher and mentor for the new teachers in training. Since this is partly a medical topic, we also have today with us Dr. Jay Thimmapuram. He's an internal medicine physician. He's an academic hospitalist at Wellspring York Hospital in Philadelphia. He primarily focuses on educating and mentoring internal medicine residents in New York, USA. He has a huge interest in research and has published research articles in reputed medical journals. One of my favorite articles that he has been talking about and writing about is heartfulness meditation and its effect in lowering stress levels and burnout and its impact on telomere length, which indirectly influences aging. And I am told he has a huge work on sleep deprivation. So welcome Dr. Jay and Vasco onto this important webinar. How are you all today?
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming us.
Thank you, Haresh. Thank you for the nice welcome. It's good seeing you, Vasco.
It's good seeing you too, Jay. And thanks, dear Haresh, for the invitation.
So let's straight go to the topic before wasting much time. I will start with you, Vasco. What is loneliness? People keep talking about this, I am lonely. So what is loneliness according to you?
So my take on loneliness is mainly a subjective state, perceived state, and I might feel lonely even in the company of others. And actually, in the beginning, you mentioned that some people, although they are confined at home with their family, they still feel lonely. So I think it's important for us, first of all, to understand that we are social beings and we are designed to connect with each other. And some people nowadays, it's more difficult for them because they are locked at home, sometimes with no one else, not even a pet that they can connect with directly. So, and that can activate a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings. But that can also happen if they are confined with other people, because mainly we are living moments that very, very difficult for many people. So, and we tend to perceive these situations as a threat for our systems. So we tend to perceive, our minds are constantly receiving bad news, or we are anticipating problems that can happen, like for instance, oh, I'm going to lose my job. So first of all, I think it's very normal, and we need to accept that it's very normal to feel difficult emotions now. So it's very normal for people to feel lonely. It's very normal for people to feel sad, to feel confused, to feel anxious. So these are normal emotions that help us navigate in life. At the same time, we have tools, and it's important to regulate those same emotions, but then we can speak about that. But I would say that it's mostly about a sense of disconnection. Even if I'm around people, sometimes I can be in the middle of, I don't know, 10,000 people and feel lonely, because my needs of connection with others might not be nourished by the intimacy I want, and so on. So I would say that it's mostly a subjective a thing, but it creates suffering, of course, in people. It's a real thing as well, because people feel it. So that's what I would share about the loneliness. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Vasco. I spoke to a few people, and they were telling me that they spent millions of dollars and rupees building their homes. They spent years renovating their homes. And now, when they really get to be into their home, where they really wanted to build and live in, they are not happy. So
Yes,
that takes me
yes.
to Jay. Jay, I have a very interesting query, because that brings us to the real topic of today. What's alone but not lonely? Jay, can you throw some light on that? That's a very interesting saying,
Yes.
that I'm alone but I'm not lonely.
I would agree with what Vasco mentioned. If we look at the term loneliness, right? If we look at it from a definition point of view, talk about it as a sense of lack of belonging. It's a feeling of painful isolation that is often felt when our social contacts are cut off. But that does not mean that being alone means loneliness. It depends on the degree of the depth of connection with others, the meaningfulness of that connection. One of the things that I feel about loneliness is that it is also a sense of relationship with our own selves. How deep are we connected with ourselves? When my residents ask me this question, and they say, Dr. J, we know you meditate. Can you tell us a little bit about how this simple act of closing our eyes helps us? I tell them, if we close our eyes, it almost feels as if we are doing nothing, but we are doing something very important. We are putting up with our own selves. And then we realize that it is not so easy to put up with our own selves. And if it is very difficult to put up with our own selves, how do we expect others to put up with us? But in the process of keeping our eyes closed on a regular basis, resting our attention on something good within ourselves, the intrinsic goodness of our own hearts, it gives us an opportunity to become comfortable with ourselves to begin with. When we are comfortable with ourselves, it becomes possible for us to be comfortable with others and for others to be comfortable with us. So, in a sense, loneliness and being alone are two different things. A lot of people long for solitude, and solitude is not loneliness. They come out of this feeling of loneliness, they enjoy this solitude, they come out refreshed, rejuvenated, ready to face everything that's going on in their lives. This is an opportunity to practice solitude. This is also an opportunity to get connected with ourselves deeper. And when we get connected with ourselves in a deeper way, it becomes possible for us to get connected with our family members and our friends in a much more deeper way than ever before.
So, Jay, that tells me that people who generally feel lonely are the ones who are very scared to look into themselves too, because they want more people outside of them to feel connected. So they want people around them because they're very worried what they would be if they were alone. And as you said, meditation would be one way of connecting yourself when you're alone, and that could help you be alone but yet not lonely. And that would make life much easier in the present circumstances.
Right.
Now, that brings me to this aspect of connectivity. Had this happened, say, about 3 decades earlier or something, and where we had no internet and not much connectivity, would that be different? So why, despite so much connectivity around, if today I feel lonely, I can just dial a call to you and say hi, chat with me, or I could dial a call to Vasco or anybody else and be connected. So why, despite so much connectivity, we are yet lonely? Jay.
Um, I was thinking if Vasco would want to take that question, but
Okay. Oh, he can take it too.
yeah, from my side, it all bottoms down to how comfortable we are with our own selves, right? Despite of the number of connections that we may have 10,000 followers on the internet on our Twitter account, but yet feel very lonely, right? One of the factors that were studied in the literature is the prevalence of loneliness. Some studies show that around 40% of us are lonely. And situations like this make us more aware of our own loneliness. The internet connections, the technology has been implicated in this feeling of loneliness before this pandemic happened. But now the same technology is being an instrument to connect with people. If we look at the number of virtual meetings that are happening all over the world, it has gone up by almost 200%, 300%. One of my colleagues, he said that his daughter's birthday was celebrated on a Zoom call, and around 30 of his family members from all over the world joined the birthday party. People who they've never seen before, they all joined. And he said it was a wonderful moment just to be with the family members, even though it is a virtual meeting. And this is also an opportunity to use what we have to connect and bond with each other like never before. We use what we have and come out of it, emerge out of everything that we are going through in a much better way, perhaps as butterflies, as Vasco mentioned earlier on.
Vasco, would you want to throw some more light on this? Why, despite so much connectivity, we are yet lonely?
Yes, that's a huge topic, actually, and I agree with what Jay just mentioned. And I would like just to point that for several of us, it's not easy to connect, to go inside, because almost all of us, in more or less degree, we suffered from previous traumas. And by closing our eyes, for some people, it can seem like a scary place to go. So that's the reason why some of us are constantly distracted, and social media, for instance, or the, I don't know, internet offers a perfect escape for these parts of us that want to distract us and don't want us to go inside, because inside you might face your, I don't know, the feeling of loneliness, or the feeling of not having worth, of not feeling loved. So, and we use sometimes as we use, I don't know, people use substances or use food to compensate this lack of connection with a deeper place inside ourselves that is beyond traumatized parts. So this place, for instance, in the internal family systems model, which is a therapeutical model, they say that we have different parts. Our mind, we have sub-personalities, and some of them carry trauma, and others are protectors of us not to go into those traumas. And some of those protectors are called firefighters or distractors. So that's why some people, when they are feeling in contact with those traumatized parts, they run away to false distractions and false sense of connection. Oh, I have, 100 likes, and this gives a sense that I'm connected, but this doesn't nourish the real connection. At the same time, as Jay was pointing in very well, we are being able also to use this when we are really connected and connected with our healthy parts, with our self, with a capital S. We also can use these same technologies to connect, as we are doing here today. So you are in Mumbai, Jay is in the US, I'm in Portugal, and we are connecting, and people are watching at the same time. So this is amazing. So I think it depends of where you are coming from, where you are using these technologies. For instance, there is this beautiful website called human.online, where you can just log in, human.online, and it randomly puts you in contact with one person for 1 minute. So you cannot speak with that person. It's just looking face to face, kind of to have a deep connection with another human being, looking at each other's eyes for 1 minute in silence. I tried it once or twice, and it was really touching. So someone that I don't know who that person is, but I felt that, oh, this person is a human being just like me, and I can connect with that person, and I can sense that if the person is happy or sad, and that person can sense, because we are social beings, we can co-regulate with each other, and this helps a lot. So I think, technology is wonderful, but it also can be used for, distracting ourselves, numbing ourselves, which is also a response of our autonomic nervous system about numbing and dissociating ourselves, what is called the dorsal vagal response of the parasympathetic, which is about shutting down. So, but we can regulate ourselves and then be able to connect from a different place, a place of what is called the vagal response that is more connected. And we mammals and humans, we have this capacity to co-regulate for the best also. So that's what comes to mind now.
Right. So, actually my next question was going to be, which you partially answered. How do we use this so-called badly mouthed social media? We keep speaking, it's spreading negative news. We are reading all how many people have died and how many people are dying. How can we use this social media more positively? One, you just put it across by the webinars we have. What other ways can social media be used positively in today's world to dispel this loneliness?
Is the question for me or for Jay? For both
of you, one
Okay.
by one, because both of you all are masters in this field.
Okay, I can continue since I was speaking about this. So there is this lot of possibilities. So I noticed, for instance, myself, as Jay was saying, much more online and talking to my parents and my family and my friends. We are having, and there's a lot of possibilities of connection, and there's a lot of possibilities of nourishing ourselves. Taking yoga classes, meditation. You can do meditation, for instance, with the Heartfulness app, the Hearts app, and a lot of beautiful things. We can cultivate ourselves and use this amazing technology to cultivate, to connect, to play with each other. A friend of mine just invited me to have a virtual lunch together. So we are both having a lunch and having a conversation. So it's also time to be creative. And of course, being in presence is much more nourishing, at least for me. I imagine that for people that are more extrovert, this can be more challenging, but we have these tools, we have this capacity of using this technology. For instance, I'm part of also a project from the Presencing Institute called the Gaia Project. If you go gaiaproject.org, it is a 14-week journey that just started, where basically the idea is every week people come together. And Gaia means global activation of intention and action. And it's basically a journey of where people come together. They join from all over the world, and we have a space in Zoom like this to talk with each other and to sense what is happening in the world now. what are we human beings as individuals, as collective, as a society, what are we being called to? And this also gives a sense of purpose. So not only of connection and feeling connected with each other and using technology for that, but also having a purpose. And this time is very important for us to not lose our purpose in life and not lose our connectivity with life, not also lose our capacity to move our bodies, because if we just stay immobile for the whole day and just feeling stressed, that can even lead to trauma after this situation. So all these things are useful, and technology can give us also these things. I can move my body through a yoga class. I have a friend that dances every day. She dances with a bunch of people all around the world. I never tried it, but it might be fun. I have yoga classes myself. I'm participating on. So this is just some examples. Maybe Jay, you have other examples of things we can do and use this technology in a good way.
So
Yes,
I
Jay.
think I
Being a doctor, you would have probably more ideas also in addition to these.
one thing that we are doing in our hospital is we are having something called a happy hour, virtual happy hour. We are connecting with our residents, with our colleagues, with faculty. I think more people are joining than we would have done in person before. That's one way of doing it. But one thing that I also wanted to add is it's not just the connection, it is the undivided attention that we give to the other person. That plays a very significant role. When we interact with people, even if it is a virtual interaction through internet, through a call, through a video call, when we give them the gift of undivided attention, even if it is for a short period of time, that becomes very meaningful. And it can actually dissolve the barriers of loneliness that the other person may be experiencing. So if there is one thing that I wanted to add, that would be paying our undivided attention to the other person. Give them that gift and see what happens.
It's very profound, Jay, because many a times our interactions are so disturbed and we keep jumping from one point to the other that the opposite person starts feeling that we really are not listening to him. And he senses that we are not giving him the attention he or she deserves. And what you talk about virtual, actually, yesterday I was seeing a short video about a couple on virtual date. That was really, really amazing. I mean, human brain can think of lots of things. I have a very interesting question for you, Jay. How do you maintain an attitude of gratitude during these difficult times? Because this is the times when everybody's complaining, I'm stuck at home, I can't go out, this virus is going to kill everybody. How do we maintain an attitude of gratitude during these times?
Gratitude is a feeling that is generated from the heart when it recognizes what it has. And if we focus on what we do not have, we can never be grateful. And to be able to look at what we have, look around, there are so many things that we have. We have an opportunity to spend with family. When we look at it as an opportunity, right? We can use this opportunity to bond with our kids. Sometimes it becomes difficult to keep our kids engaged for long periods of time. I can vouch for that. But yet, it also gives us moments of time where it just feels good. And if we are able to look at it from that standpoint, gratitude comes out. And when we feel that there is much more that we have received than what we actually deserve, gratitude wells up. And to be able to feel that one should at least take a pause and find out what one has received so far in life. Being on the medical side, I also look at the way our system works, right? We all have our own personality, and we actually shape our personality through the experiences that we have in life. But not only that, even sleep plays a significant role in our personality. before we go to bed at night. If we go to bed in a state of anger or frustration, or maybe after an argument, this emotional state gets consolidated in a part of the brain called the hippocampus. And during sleep, connections are formed from this hippocampus to the front portion of the brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex, and that is our personality center. So, knowingly or unknowingly, we are actually forming our own personality during sleep, depending on the state of mind that we were in before we go to sleep. If we keep repeating this process of focusing on what we do not have, it actually becomes our personality, and it becomes very difficult to be grateful. But the good thing is, all we need to do is to reverse this process before going to bed. Look at what you have. Be grateful towards the things that you already have, and the system takes care of the rest. This positive state of mind before you go to bed will consolidate and actually transform your own personality into something that you have not imagined before. And I was also looking at some of the articles on how the brain works. There are cells within the brain called the microglial cells, or the cleanup cells. They clean up anything that is unwanted. And how does the brain decide what is unwanted? It depends on the attention and the intention that we have. If we pay attention to negativity, the brain thinks that this is what this person wants to preserve. Let's keep it. And whatever is not paid attention to is cleaned off. So what gets cleaned off is the intrinsic goodness of our own selves. So we become more and more negative as age advances if we keep paying attention to negativity. And not only that, we become more and more cynical. We see it in our lives.
True.
But if we are able to reverse this process and start paying attention to some intrinsic goodness within our own selves, right? Now our system starts to think, this is what this person wants to preserve. Let's preserve it. Let's develop it. And whatever is not paid attention to gets cleaned off. Because we are not paying attention to negativity now, that gets cleaned off. And what gets nurtured, what grows, is positivity. It is very easy to transform ourselves provided we change our attention and the intention. These would be two key terms that I would say to maintain gratitude or develop positive attributes, especially during this season.
Right. That's really intriguing and exciting. So it tells me as a doctor that this is a learned process. It's not that you're going to be born with gratitude, you can develop gratitude. So coming to you, Vasco, I heard a webinar of yours yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Can I just sorry to interrupt you. Can I just comment two things that Jay just said, because they are on my mind. And so one was, I had a teacher, he was a neurologist, and he used to tell this story of a man that came to him and said, "Doctor, I'm very concerned with what is happening to me because I spent my sleep dreaming about Tetris. Do you know that game Tetris? And he said, but do you normally spend time playing Tetris? And he said, yeah, I am all the time spending time playing Tetris. And he said, yeah, so that's why you dream about Tetris, because your system perceives Tetris as probably something important for survival. So, and as Jay was saying, if you are always focused on the negative, probably that's what is going to stay here. And every time I go to sleep, I have a jar close to my bed. And every time I go to sleep, I pick up a paper and I write at least 3 things that happened that were positive during the day. And I'm sure that today, one of the things that I will write there is going to be this conversation. And in some months, I like to do this in each trimester. I just take out the things from the jar and I just read about the amazing things that happened. And sometimes it's just small things, like I play with my cat, or I heard the birds outside, or I spoke to my mother. So it doesn't need to be big things. So all these small things, as Jay was also pointing, This just came to mind that to share. And there's even this site called gratefulness.org from Brother David Standel Reist, where he speaks also about this gratefulness, this importance of cultivating and learning gratefulness, as you were also saying about the learning activity. Yeah.
Right. So, Vasco, I was part of your webinar yesterday where you spoke about the prefrontal cortex. Also, you touched upon it. So, my question to you is initially to you, and it's then going to go to Jay again. Is what daily practices can be done so that we regulate ourselves during these times?
Mm. So I think one of the main practices, and Jay also touched on that, is about where do we put our attention. And one place we can put our attention is on our own body-mind system. So, and becoming aware of how am I at each moment? What is my inner state? And that first step of becoming aware allows me to recognize, for instance, that I'm not regulated, that I'm, for instance, very angry, or I'm, for instance, very anxious, or I'm, for instance, feeling depressed or lonely. So with that awareness, I kind of come out of the state, or I have some glimpse or some perspective of the state, and that allows me to have some agency to act on that state, to do things like, I don't know, meditation, for instance, or to do things like breathing exercise, or do things like the cleaning exercise that we have in Heartfulness. And if some people don't know about that, they can go to the website and learn about it. So about this importance of the same way that we wash our hands, and it is very important even more nowadays to wash our hands, this importance of also washing our emotional states, washing the physical reactions that we are having. And as Jay was saying, not going to sleep, for instance, feeling with a lot of anger or with a lot of difficult emotions, and to wash these emotions to regulate ourselves. So I would say these simple practices, like first of all becoming aware, and then with this awareness to do something to regulate ourselves. It can be just pick up the phone and connect with some friend, or to do a breathing exercise to down-regulate my hyperactivation, or to do some meditation to connect with my deeper self, to really connect with myself. Because as Jay was pointing, if I'm really connected with this inner part of myself that has sanity, that is healthy, that has compassion, that brings a feeling also of connection, and is profoundly healing and healthy. And we should cultivate that the same way we wash our hands. So that's what comes to mind. And I pass to you, Jay. What do you have to share?
I think you covered it all, Vasco. One of the things that I talk to my colleagues, my residents, and my patients, in general, if we look at our day, it does not start at the break of dawn. It starts the night before. The way we prepare for the day matters a lot. So settling the mind down before we go to bed, going to bed in a calmer state of mind, can facilitate a better and deeper state of sleep. And when we wake up in the morning after a good night's sleep, we feel refreshed. The reason I say it is very important to have a good night's sleep in this situation and this topic of loneliness is that a mind that is not well rested will not be able to interact well with others. A mind that is not well rested will feel isolated. And this contributes to this feeling of loneliness. So getting a good night's sleep is a good start. And when we wake up in the morning refreshed, using that opportunity to consolidate that state of calmness within. Whether it is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, spend some time with your own self. Rest your attention on something much more than yourself. Intrinsic goodness of your own heart, let us call it a source of divine light within your own heart. Rest your attention there and let that calmness settle down and get consolidated. And hopefully This settled state can help us get through the ups and downs of our daily life in a much better way. And it can also counter this feeling of loneliness, because now we are in a state of contentment and at peace with our own selves. But having said that, each day we get a lot of information from everywhere, and it can sometimes cause a little disturbance within. It can provoke anxiety, it can provoke stress. What do we do with it? We can wash it out, as Vasco was saying. What I do when I come home from the hospital, carrying those stresses and strains with me, I tell my wife, my kids, give me 15 minutes, let me come back in a better state of mind. I go to my room, my man cave, my dungeon, whatever you want to call it. I close my eyes and make a suggestion that all the stresses and strains, the complexities and impurities, they're vaporizing in the form of smoke from the back, top down to the tailbone, the shoulder blades, and the entire back. And I sit with this idea for about 15-20 minutes, at the end of which I feel a bit lighter. And when I feel lighter, I make this suggestion that this feeling of lightness is filling me up, oozing out through each and every cell of my being, and then interact with friends, family members, and I can tell you it's a much better interaction. And at night, again, repeat the cycle, go to bed in a calmer state of mind. So we are preparing our inner self, our interior, in a much better way, so that our interaction with the outer world is a reflection of what we are feeling inside. If we feel good within ourselves, our interaction with others will be good. If we are not feeling so good within ourselves, our interaction will not be good. So trying to shift the focus from outside to our own inside, refining it, settling it down is very important. And one of the things that I also find is that, where does our mind gravitate towards when there is nothing else to do? Is it calmly settled? Is our mind pushing us and prodding us in different directions? If it's pushing us and prodding us in different directions, there are many things that are still unsettled. Using this opportunity where we are almost forced to stay alone, to find out more about our own selves, work on ourselves, refine ourselves, make ourselves a bit better, and emerge out as better human beings than what we were before this whole event happened. That's all I had to share.
Hi, good, Jay. So, in short, you gave us a gist of what heartfulness meditation is all about and how it can help you be alone and yet not be lonely. And we will touch a little bit on heartfulness meditation in these times in a short while. Quickly, it brings me to the point that you had. I read a couple of your papers on how this meditation technique can help improve sleep and reduce burnout in your hospital. Can you just quickly tell us in a minute or so what were these studies about and how did it go about?
Sure. So being a physician and a researcher, I'm also interested in trying to find out from a scientific point of view the practical benefits of this heartfulness meditation. And being a person who was a little skeptical about meditation when I started, and finding out that it was immensely helpful, I wanted to try and test it out on people who have never experienced meditation before and find out whether it would be helpful. And when we offered this practice of heartfulness to our resident physicians, nurses, and faculty members for 12 weeks, we found out that their stress levels, their anxiety levels, their burnout levels came down significantly. And there was another group that did not carry on with meditation. And in that group, we did not see much of any changes. And most of us in the scientific community would like to see something very objective, not just a subjective experience, right? So we measured something called a telomere length. And what are these telomeres? These are at the tip of our chromosomal DNA, cap-like structures, or the plastic bits on our shoelaces called aglets. In general, the longer these telomeres are, it reflects a healthier lifestyle and longer lifespan The shorter they are, maybe not so. And to my surprise, when we got our results back, when we measured the telomere length at the beginning of the study and towards the end of the study, this result was more significant in the younger population. And we saw that the telomere length actually increased in the younger population in the group that meditated, but in the group that did not meditate, we did not see any of those changes. And one of the factors that played a significant role is that their sleep also improved significantly. And we dedicated another study to find out what it would do to patients who have chronic insomnia. And imagine not being able to sleep well for at least 3 nights a week. And this goes on for months and years. It's called chronic insomnia. And patients feel very tired. They have a lot of fatigue. And it influences even the way their day-to-day life goes. When we offered heartfulness practice for 8 weeks, we saw that their insomnia scores came down by more than half, from a score of 20.9 to a score of 10.4. And even more interesting were the stories that they shared. They said, Dr. Jay, we were only able to sleep for 4 hours before. Now we are able to sleep for 7 hours, 8 hours, because of which our dreams have come back. And to me, it was fascinating. And it tells me that before, they were sleeping for a short duration where they were not getting into the stage where dreams occurred. And as the duration of sleep increased, the dreams started to come back. And 75% of them were also able to come off of their sleeping pills, which as a physician makes me very happy. And when we offered this to our resident physicians for a week, we saw that they actually started sleeping much faster. Before meditation practice, they took around 21 minutes on an average to fall asleep. But during the week of meditation, they started falling asleep much faster within 14 minutes. So 1/3 of the time was cut down in trying to fall asleep. They did not have to stare at the ceiling for another 7 minutes.
Right.
Quality of sleep and restfulness improved significantly.
Okay, very interesting. So let me get back to Vasco for his last comments on what he has to say about this whole webinar, about meditation, about mindfulness. What message would he like to give our audience who's been patiently listening to this webinar? What message would you like to give regarding the changes we can make to live in these difficult times? Over to you, Vasco.
Thank you. The sentence that is in my mind now, Jay just shared, is our dreams have come back. That is such a beautiful sentence and such a metaphor. And I feel that my takeaway or my highlight or my suggestion was really for us to find ways as individuals and as groups in society to use these confined moments that we are kind of being, most of us, forced to really be able to use this as an opportunity to cultivate ourselves. Because you can see the example of Nelson Mandela, for instance, and one of the worst things that they can do to a prisoner is in the solitary. But Nelson Mandela, for instance, is an example of someone that used that confinement to cultivate himself. And from that space of cultivation, it could change the world. It could change his society. So how can we use these difficult and for sure challenging moments and challenging situations and use these different practices to become more aware, to become more connected with the self and to life itself, not only to ourself, but life that is here and around us. And practices like heartfulness. I've been a practitioner of several practices, but I always say that heartfulness is where I find my heart and my home and where I feel at home. And this is my main practice. And so I really recommend that people can find a different practice, but the importance of having a practice to connect with the healthy core that lies inside of us, I think that's more than ever something that we should do, and we should find ways to do it. And heartfulness offers a path on that direction, but there are others, and I think it's a good moment for us to use this confined moments to look inside and to heal ourselves and to have an action in the world that is come from that space of healing and connection. So,
Well, thank you, Vasco. Thank you,
thank you.
Jay. It brings me to summarize the entire thing is that one, of course, in these difficult times, you first have to heal yourself before you can think of, trying to correct others around in your house, because we have the habit of, don't do this, this is not doing well, this is not being done properly. So I would say first you need to heal yourself and get ready to be alone despite being with people. That's a very, very important thing. And I would recommend that the government offers a lockdown once it's lifted, once every month for 4 or 5 days for people to go more and more in. And before we tell our people that we bid them goodbye, so we just give them a little bit of breathing techniques which can help them in today's difficult times. And maybe also give them a gist of a relaxation technique, which is offered by the Heartfulness Institute. So if you all are ready, be prepared to breathe the way I tell you. So whenever you breathe, always try to breathe in as slow as possible. And the breathing out should be longer generally. So breathe in 4, breathe out 6. Am I right, Vasco?
Yes, that can be a possibility. Yes, so to down regulate breathing longer than the inspiration, for sure.
Yeah, and that definitely helps to calm yourself. And breathing from the left nostril by closing the right also does help you. So let me put you through breathing with awareness of purpose. That's very, very important. So let's begin. So we generally start with breathe in with what is needed, good and positive for the betterment of ourselves. Breathe out what is good for others. Never think negative about others. Breathe in what is good for me. Breathe out what is good for everyone. This is compassion. Think good about everyone. Breathe in positivity and breathe out optimism. This is extremely important during these times to maintain an optimistic attitude. Do not spread negativity around that Corona is going to kill all of us. Breathe in sensitivity, be more and more sensitive to other people and to yourself, and breathe out compassion rather than hatred. Breathe in trust and breathe out team spirit. For no one can function in this society entirely alone. When I mean team spirit, it should be team spirit with yourself and with your surroundings. Always be in appreciation of others. Breathe in appreciation and breathe out joy. People around you should feel the joy that you are experiencing. Breathe in understanding. And the most important is breathe out love. If you can breathe with this kind of awareness of purpose, we have attained more than what we set out to. And before we go, we're going to give you a small gist of relaxation techniques that are offered by the Heartfulness Institute. This also helps in what Jay said. It helps sleeplessness also. People who follow relaxation techniques, who have difficulty in sleeping at night, if they go through this technique, their sleep may be easy. And this is also used as a tool before meditation to get you into the mood for meditation. So I'm going to guide you through the technique of breathing for the next 2 minutes. And after that, we will tell you how you can meditate and what kind of websites and numbers and contacts you can have to experience this heartfulness meditation. Please sit down comfortably in your chair. And gently close your eyes. Bring your attention to your toes and wriggle your toes. Feel the energy ascending from Mother Earth, going up your feet, your ankles, relaxing them completely. The same energy is now ascending up your calf muscles and your knees and making them feel relaxed and soft. The front of your thighs, the back of your thighs, the seat, the buttocks. Gently feel this energy ascend up and making you feel nice and relaxed. Feel your breath being nice, slow, and deep. Breathe in, breathe out. The lower back and the upper back is slowly getting relaxed, and you feel kind of lightness and weightlessness and a feeling of relaxation and peace starts pervading. Feel your shoulders simply melting away. The abdomen area, the front of your chest is all getting relaxed, and your breathing is becoming easier and easier. The same energy is flowing down your arms, your elbow, forearms, relaxing each and every sinew, muscle completely. Feel this energy go down the wrists, the palms, the fingers, oozing out of the fingers, and you feel nice, peaceful, and completely relaxed. The back of your neck, your head, and the forehead also feels completely relaxed. Now slowly bring your attention to your face. Feel the forehead feeling relaxed, and there is not a single furrow on your forehead. The eyebrows, the eyelashes, the eyes, the nose, the cheek, the lips, the jaw, all of you completely relaxed, and your face has a sense of calm and peacefulness pervading all over. Now gently bring your attention to your heart. Feel absorbed in the divine light and love emanating from within. This love is pulling you inwards and drawing you into your heart. Be there for a few moments. and enjoy the bliss and joy that you're experiencing in your heart. That's all. Now you can slowly, gently open your eyes as and when you feel like, and note down how you felt. Well, all our viewers and listeners, thanks for joining us on this very interesting webinar. And I would like to thank our two esteemed guests, Vasco Gaspar and Dr. Jay, for providing us valuable insights on how to deal with loneliness in these difficult times. And what you just experienced is just a small sample of a relaxation technique offered by the Heartfulness Institute. We have three processes to this. We have a morning meditation, an evening cloning process, which was briefly described by Jay, and then night prayer, which Jay and Vasco touched upon a little bit. Because of lack of time, we couldn't get into detail of that. If all of y'all would want to join in, I would say all of y'all should join in and would like to connect with us to learn these techniques and processes, you would please log on to www.heartfulness.org. We also have a Hearts app on mobile for Android and iOS users. You can download that and also meditate via the Hearts app. This is the positive aspect of technology we were talking about. Then you have Heartfulness on YouTube. You have meditation classes, guided practice sessions. Our global guide, Dr. Kamlesh Patel, who's also called Daji, he offers Masterclass sessions, 3 sessions to initiate into this practice. It is available free of charge. The entire meditation process is free. You can log on to www.heartfulness.org, EN Masterclass, and register for the same. And then we have multiple hotspots which you can check on the web or the internet, and you can locate over 6,000 trainers or more all over the world. We have trainers all over the world who offer this kind of meditation and can be used 24 hours, 365 days. Thank you for joining me. And this is not the end. We are going to continue these webinar sessions with various interesting topics and various international and national personalities guiding us through this. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vasco, and thank you, Jay. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.